If you want to work less and get more done, then you need to learn Claude Cowork, a tool that goes into your files and apps and completes the work for you. But if you're just starting out, Cowork can be a little confusing. So I'm breaking down the 9 core features of Cowork for the average person, starting with direct file access, because this is the foundation that makes everything else possible. You point it at a folder on your computer and Claude can see everything inside. It can read your files, create new ones, edit existing ones, and move things around. It's working with your real files in real time on your computer. On the flip side, most other AI tools are just chatbots. You chat back and forth and then you go do the thing yourself. It's like texting a really smart friend for advice, but you still have to go and do the work. But with Cowork, once you give it direct file access, it will carry out the work itself. For example, let's say you have a messy desktop. Tell Cowork to organize your desktop by type, rename everything so it's actually readable, and then flag anything older than 90 days. It does it in just 5 minutes, and this is the most basic example. But if you're wondering if Claude has access to your entire machine, the answer is no, because you choose exactly what folders it has access to. And before Claude does anything major like deleting a file, it will ask you for permission first, which is great. But one common mistake beginners make when using Claude for the first time is pointing it at your home directory, because this actually does give Claude pretty much access to everything on your computer. So instead of doing that, create a dedicated workspace folder and only give access to the projects you're working on. That way you can sleep peacefully at night. But there's just one other problem. It's 2026 and your work doesn't live just on your computer. It's scattered across Gmail, Google Drive, Slack, Notion, Microsoft 365, and probably a dozen other apps. So that's where this next feature comes in, connectors. And a connector is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bridge between Cowork and an app you already use. You connect the app and now Claude can pull information from it, save things to it, and use it as part of a bigger task. And right now there are over 38 connectors and the list keeps growing. And the big ones are all there: Google Drive, Gmail, Google Calendar, Slack, Microsoft 365, Notion, DocuSign. And there's more specialized ones too, like FactSet for financial data, Apollo for sales prospecting, and Figma for design. But here's what all this looks like in practice. Say your boss emails you a spreadsheet and asks for a summary by end of day. Without Cowork, you'd have to open the Gmail, download the attachment, open it in Excel, and then write a report on it and email it back. That's 20 to 30 minutes of shuffling between apps. With connectors, just tell Cowork to find the email John sent you this morning, analyze the key trends, and write a quick report and save it to your workspace folder. Claude will take care of the whole thing after just a 2-minute conversation. So to get started yourself, go to Settings, then Connectors, and then Browse. And connect the 2 or 3 tools you use the most. For most people, that's Google Drive and Gmail or the Microsoft equivalents. And now you can prompt Cowork to access those apps and complete tasks for you. But there's just one problem with prompting AI, and it's that you end up repeating yourself constantly. And that's where global instructions comes in, a feature that allows you to tell Cowork your background, like your role, your company, and how you like to work. Just set all of that up one time and never think about it again. It's like onboarding a new hire on their first day. You just sit them down and say, here's who I am, here's our team, and here's how we like to work. Just go into settings, fill out that context, and Claude will carry it into every future session. But the real power users take it a step further, because you can create a set of context files that lives in a dedicated folder that Claude has access to. And the 3 most important ones are an About Me file with your name, your role, and your company, a brand voice file with a few examples of your actual writing, and a current projects file with active projects that you're currently working on. By building out a solid context folder, Claude can produce results that sound exactly like you without you having to explain your background every single time. This alone saves hours every week. So after creating your Claude context folder, go to Settings and create a global instruction that tells Cowork to read your context folder before starting any task. This little setup will transform every session you run from this point forward. But okay, so now Claude knows your files, knows your apps, and even knows a bit about who you are. But how do you teach it to do a specific task your way? Well, that is what skills are for. If global instructions are like the day 1 onboarding conversation, then skills are like handing someone an SOP. You know how every team has those step-by-step process docs that says when you do X, follow these steps in this exact order. That's basically what a skill is. You create it once, and anytime that task comes up, Claude will automatically follow those instructions. Here's a quick example. Let's say you have to write a weekly report every Friday and it follows the same format. A summary at the top, what got done this week, then blockers, and then next steps. Without a skill, you'd have to explain that to Claude every Friday. But with a skill, you teach it once and it just knows. And creating a skill takes 2 seconds. There's a built-in tool called Skill Creator. Just type /Skill Creator, describe what you want, and Claude will interview you with a few questions. And then Claude will build the skill for you. And people are building skills for brand guidelines, data analysis, client onboarding, you name it. One popular example is a content repurposing skill. You feed it a podcast episode or a blog post, and it will automatically create 5 social media posts. It will create a newsletter draft and a list of short form video clip ideas. That's an hour of work compressed into 15 minutes every single time. Skills are a hidden superpower, and if you're on the team and enterprise plans, admins can push skills to everyone else in your organization. But let's take things a step further, because remember, Cowork is like our little new hire, except he never takes coffee breaks and he never gets tired. We had the onboarding conversation with global instructions, and we handed him an SOP with skills. And now we are going to hand him the complete department handbook with plugins. Because your specific job has its own tools, processes, and terminology. And a plugin bundles all of that together so Claude instantly knows how someone would work in your role. For example, click Customize on the left sidebar and hit Browse Plugins. Anthropic launched 11 official plugins for the most common roles: sales, finance, legal, marketing, HR, engineering, design, operations, and data analysis. Install the sales plugin and Claude can research prospects, prep for calls, and run pipeline reports. Install the finance plugin and it can build financial models. But here's where it gets really interesting. You can customize every plugin. And this is important because a generic sales plugin is fine, but a custom sales plugin that knows your CRM and your outreach process is on another level. So click Customize on any installed plugin and Claude will walk you through how to set that up. But if you want Claude to expand beyond your files and apps, you can also give it access to your browser with Claude in Chrome, a browser extension that lets Claude control your Chrome browser. It can navigate websites, fill out forms, and pull data from web pages. You can trigger it from the Chrome sidebar or directly from Cowork. And when Cowork needs to grab something from Chrome, it will fire up the extension automatically. But how is this different from using Cowork in the Claude app? Well, let's say you have a meeting with a potential client in 30 minutes. You can tell Cowork to research this person and their company, check their LinkedIn company website and any recent news, and create a 1-page brief with 3 talking points. Claude opens up Chrome and does all the research from your LinkedIn account. This is just one example and it's kind of crazy, but I'll be honest about the limitations. Browser automation is slower than you'd expect. Claude will look at a page sometimes and it can take up to 2 minutes before he figures out what to do. Something it would take us 1 to 2 seconds. So it's not all the way there yet, but as Claude becomes better, this is going to become super valuable. But speaking of valuable, let's talk about scheduled tasks, because this is where you can schedule tasks so Claude can run it automatically. For example, you can create a daily morning dashboard that looks at your calendar, email, and Slack and summarizes everything you need to know ahead of your first meeting. Or you can do an end of day shutdown task. You tell Cowork to look at tomorrow's calendar and flag any prep I need to do ahead of those meetings. That way you can start the day fresh and prepared instead of anxious. But one thing to note is that scheduled tasks only work when your computer is awake and the Claude desktop app is open. So it's not perfect, but hopefully things will get there soon. However, there is one feature that is even more powerful, and that is subagents. Think of subagents as parallel workers. If you give Cowork a really complex task, it won't just grind through it one step at a time. It will spin up multiple workers and deploy them to attack the problem at the same time. For example, if you want Cowork to research 8 companies for a competitive analysis, instead of researching them one by one, it will send out little sub-agents to do all the research on those individual companies and then come together and put together a comprehensive report. A task that might take you an entire day will get done in minutes. But there's one last feature that ties everything together, and that is cross-app workflows. Because most people don't even realize that most of their day consists of jumping between apps. You pull numbers from a spreadsheet and upload it into a PowerPoint. You download a file from a drive and then upload it somewhere else. That app-to-app shuffle is one of the biggest hidden time sinks, but Cowork can handle all of that for you. And the biggest example that's happening right now is between Excel and PowerPoint. Because Claude can analyze data in a spreadsheet, build charts from it, and then turn that into a PowerPoint presentation. And when you pair that with connectors we talked about earlier, it gets even bigger. So the next time you have a deliverable that touches multiple apps, try handing off the whole project to Cowork in a single prompt. But if I'm I'm being honest about this entire video, there are a few things you need to keep in mind before going all in on Cowork. One, it's still early access. Anthropic calls this a research preview. That's their way of saying it's powerful, but you're going to hit some rough edges, which is true, but it's still better than any other AI out there. Two is that Cowork doesn't remember past sessions. Every day starts with a blank slate, which is why the global instructions feature we talked about earlier is so important. That's your workaround until memory gets added to Cowork. Three is your computer has to stay on. Things like scheduled tasks only work if your computer's on and the Claude app's open. It's not a deal breaker, but it's good to know going in. And four is that it uses more of your plan than regular chats. Because Cowork is doing so much more than a regular chat convo, it is burning through your usage way faster. The $20 per month Pro plan might work for light usage, but if you're using Cowork heavily, you're gonna need the $100 to $200 a month max plan. But with that being said, go off and try it yourself. And if you guys wanna see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel and I will catch you in the next video.